Hello.
Hello, welcome back to the Synchronicity podcast / YouTube channel. I'm Megan.
I'm Nicole.
And we're the Synchronicity Sisters. We do lots of things, but mainly we just change your brain to change your life. If you want to know more about us, we have lots of podcasts. We have a website. We have an Instagram. But welcome to the new ones. Thank you to the old ones. We appreciate all of you. And today we're going to jump into a request that we had by Sherry. Hopefully I'm saying her name correctly. We had spoken on a different time. This is Shiloh, our Dalmatian, in case you haven't met her. She's almost always here, but usually she's laying down. But anyway, Sherry had asked about, one of us had mentioned that sex is the biggest energy exchange known to man. So we wanted to honor her request. We really love requests. So if you have one, please comment. We will give you a shout out. And if it's, something in our wheelhouse, we will definitely do a podcast on it because we love knowing what you guys want to know more about. So getting into it, I'm actually a trained Kundalini facilitator. I don't really know what you'd call it. I went and got trained on how to do Kundalini. Kundalini is a branch of Tantra, which is part of Hinduism. It's really big in India and things like that. But it was one of the most amazing things I'd ever really learned. We're both yoga teachers. I believed in the chakras. If you haven't gone and listened to our podcast on rape, R-A-P-E, it is spelled like rape, but it's hyphened. That's why people put an H on the end sometimes, because that's pretty triggering, which I get why, but it is a different language. But when my first plant medicine was actually a rape, and it was the first time I ever felt my chakras, and it it's one of our most popular podcasts, actually, even to this day. And rape is legal, but go listen to that if you want to hear that story about me getting introduced to my chakras for the first time, or really believing that the chakra system was real. And then, of course, that was kind of the beginning of even this company quite a few years ago now. But that brings us back to sexual energy. So chi is sexual energy, and sexual energy sits at the base of our spine and moves through our chakras. The problem is as we become very traumatized as children, our chakra system starts to get what's called blocks in it, or disassociations in the system. And one of the major problems in today's world is that with casual sex, we are so blocked and numb that we don't actually understand the exchange that's happening when we are having sex. It is so powerful. Even people like Steven Tyler, if you read his autobiography, he talks about sex magic and things like that. That is the rise of the Kundalini energy during sex. And you can rise your Kundalini without sex. It's just more powerful with sex. And have this almost multidimensional meditation, orgasmic energy happening. And when you do it correctly, actually the orgasm never ends. Orgasms can last like hours, even, depending on how trained you are and how good you are at this. And there's Tantra masters that pretty much live in an orgasmic state even when they are not having sex. So it becomes really crazy. It's a wormhole. Welcome to Sherry. It's your fault, but we love this because it's not something we talk about super often, or at least I don't. But we can also break this down scientifically, and I'm going to let Nicole do that because I've been talking now for a few minutes. But this even can be broken down hormonally with what is happening. So I'll let her get into that.
Yeah, so and you can go back and listen to our other podcasts about oxytocin and vasopressin. Oxytocin is like the love hormone. So it is when you're in a orgasmic state, or you reach orgasm, especially with women, they are releasing high levels of oxytocin. So you're bonding to your partner. And why this can be so dangerous is because if you bond over and over and over and over again, especially like one night stands or like not to a committed long-term relationship, you actually can do damage in the long run. This can deplete your oxytocin receptors in your brain. And we have, if you want the like full scientific study, send us a email. We can send it to you. Really actually showing that like hookup culture is causing severe depression and anxiety and the inability for women to actually bond with their babies long term, because the oxytocin has almost been depleted because women have bonded with so many men in this new world of hookup culture, which is very mind-boggling to me. I know like the average 25-year-old?
The average 23-year-old has been with 50, it's either 53 or 56. I can't remember men. They've had sex with 50.
So if you guys want to read that research that was done, that study, it's crazy. And then you're never going to want to be a part of hookup culture ever again. It's a bit much. But anyway, so that is the chemical aspect of it. Men need to build vasopressin in order to bond and commit to that woman. She becomes territory. That takes usually around 3 months for his brain to build a high enough of vasopressin. So he's hunting for her ideally. And then when vasopressin gets to a certain point and then they end up sleeping together, having sex, having the energy exchange, then her oxytocin bonds to him and his vasopressin is high enough. So then now they're a bonded pair. And that's also, we have a research, we can send you that's been proven over and over and over again. You probably could Google that one because that one will pop up. So that's how it works chemically in the sense of energy, but that is chemical bonding. So there's also, when we look at Taoism, if we look at the human body in the sense of an energetic field, and Kundalini talks about this. I am not Kundalini trained. Megan is Kundalini trained. She taught me this, but the man's body is negatively charged in his heart, positively charged in his genitals, and women are opposite. Positively charged in the heart, negatively charged in the uterus space. So that's why when two man and woman come together, that's how they work. Yin and yang, ideally. Positive, negative, negative, positive. They literally create a full energetic circle, in a sense.
Yeah, and this goes into, we will do a podcast on this, but women are born into, obviously, female bodies, right? So our souls are masculine, which is the animus. Men are born into male bodies, and so their souls are the anima. And when we fall in love with our soul reflected in another. So so that's a whole wormhole in itself, but that's essentially what's happening. So we project onto a man the likeness of our masculine, and they project onto us the likeness of their feminine. So when we fall in love and then we have sex, like Nicole said, a woman becomes a man's heart. He's negatively charged in the heart. We are positively charged. That's why we have boobs. And they are positively charged in their penis, and we are negatively charged womb space. So when we connect the fields, we're literally connecting into the spirit plane, because you're becoming one. You're becoming whole. Your soul is then reflected on earth, his soul is then reflected on earth, and that is why it literally when you do this correctly, you transcend time and space, because where are humans having a soul experience, or souls having a human experience, sorry, I said that backwards. And so when we are able to connect to somebody that deeply and connect into our souls, we're literally creating a metaphysical spiritual event on earth. And this is how sex was meant to be performed, in my opinion, meant to be taken that seriously. It's huge. I really have a hard time even putting into words how it is. I can't even say it's as different as night and day, because it's way more different. The sex that I had before doesn't even seem like sex to me now. That was like that was like mutual masturbation versus making love and literally having a soul experience, is the best way I can describe it. And I believe that as humans become more conscious and things like that, this is going to be the standard of how to have sex. Because when you think about sex, the goal is creation, right? It's creation energy, which is essentially the most powerful energy known to man, is the ability to make a baby. Like, we still haven't been able to do that without man and woman, right? They're not doing it in labs yet. Hopefully they never do. But that's super powerful, and it should be revered. It shouldn't just be like, oh, I just want to check the fuck out of my life, because that's when you're having sex to check out or to, just please your partner or whatever, and you don't understand how, well, just the magnitude of what you're doing. Like, it's just crazy that it's not taught. But I also understand why, because I know there's women, like one of our mentors, Kim Anami, I can name her. She talks about this, and I highly recommend. She's one of my best follows.
She has a class called Sex Magic.
Yeah. I mean, like, you start...
Quite literally. Like, you have to take her other classes to understand what is going on.
I mean, it is, but what I will vouch for her that everything she says is true, and I have experienced it firsthand. And I there's just no going back. And when we will be running an ayahuasca retreat this year, and we are actually going to have Kundalini facilitators come and do Kundalini activation and teach a lot of what I know. Because it's so important. Even ayahuasca, psychedelics move this kind of energy, and it's good to know what you're moving, why you're moving it, how you're moving it, and things like that. So if you're interested, get in contact with us. It will be part of the retreat that we're going to be doing, because I think it's really important that people tap into this and understand it. And I think that's also how we heal, because I think casual sex causes a lot of trauma. But I couldn't recommend something more. So Sherry, thank you. This was a great question for us.
Yeah. I mean, and it just really goes back to asking the question of like, who and what energy are you taking on? Because, it's a lot. Like, if you're just sleeping around, like, you're exchanging their trauma, their pain, their suffering. Like, it's huge. Like, it's a massive energy exchange. And so, like, do you really know this person? Are you willing to take on their energy? Are you, like, ask yourself these questions, because sex is so much more than pleasure. It's so energetic and, like, so, like, profound outside of, like, science.
Well, it imprints on your soul.
Yeah. So everybody, like, and you're taking on their trauma. And, like, I mean, I remember sex ed class. Remember that, like, terrifying chart that it was like, if you slept with one person, you actually slept with 3 people.
Or the sandwich that they spit in.
Yeah,
do you remember that?
It was traumatizing. Anyways,
it's not
but that's actually true, because it's imprinting. Every person imprints energy. Like, I can even say that since COVID and, like, things have gotten super strange and doing a lot more plant medicine, I'm, like, way more in tune with energy now. Even going out to the grocery store, I'm like, I have to be really careful. Like, Meg and I, like, go at certain times of the day, because it's just, like, it's draining. And so to think about, okay, if you're going to the grocery store and you're not actually even, like, you're still energetically exchanging with people because they're around in the grocery store, but, like, think about that on a, like, exponential scale of, like, exchanging sexually. Like, it is so grander, and I totally get it. Like, sex feels good, but asking yourself, is this person someone that I want to take on their energy, and am I willing to take on their energy? Because it can be, you don't know. They may have demons.
It's intense. And also knowing your human design, like, as a projector, like, I take on other people's energy. And I remember, like, one of my exes, who was struggling with some stuff, I'd have sex with him and I'd be depressed for like 3 days. And I never really understood why until, I became more conscious and started studying all of this. So this has been years and years ago. But, it's crazy how much that person is part of your field and affecting you. But remember, it's your soul reflected. And if you're just sleeping with a random because, you're drunk or whatever, also getting drunk and having sex is
or you really need it for validation.
Not the best idea. Adding these things in, but also I want to put a warning out there that don't just go. If you want to know a good Kundalini facilitator and things like that, then message us or follow Kim. Like, she works with that stuff. But don't just sign up for a Tantra retreat. You know, a lot of them teach polyamory, which I don't agree with. That's
literally the opposite.
It's not it's not good. You know, or you get really disgusting narcissists that understand how to manipulate people's Kundalini energy and are raping women. You know, I have my own stories with that and it's just not, you have to be really careful when you start working in this energy. It's nothing to mess with. You know, if you don't have a person that has strong, integral boundaries, especially with men, you know, they'll manipulate women and and I don't mean this to scare you. I just mean, like, be aware that the spiritual community, as much light as there is, there's also a lot of dark because people use it to gain power and manipulate people. And, you know, if you've heard of cults and things like that. So just like,
it can be very predatory.
Yeah. Just be aware of like what you're doing. Just because these people claim, you know, and I'm also like projecting right now because I used to think that like, oh, they're a great person. It's not necessarily. There's a lot of people that take advantage of people. And, you know, again, I've had my own experiences with that. So just being just find people that you trust, can ask questions. You know, it's a thing. I just had to kind of throw that out there.
Yeah. And just because they have a ton of followers on Instagram,
it's kind of like
doesn't mean they know what they're doing.
It's kind of like a white boy shaman, you know, like
we've harped on those.
Serving ayahuasca and like Austin, Texas, that has like, oh, I've done like 10 ceremonies and like he's ready to serve ayahuasca. That's fucking insanity. Don't do it. You're gonna get into trouble.
And find out.
No, don't. It's literally the same thing. Don't do it. You're fucking with stuff that you don't know. What the spiritual plane is a wild place. You know, and I have a lot of respect for it and reverence, and like I know am I new an out, and I have a lot of respect for it. So just like, it's not a time to fuck around and find out, is just how I'll say that. You know, just be very aware because you're messing with stuff that's like beyond what I feel like humans can really comprehend. So unless you're like a shaman and basically live on the other side, but just like be aware. And we're happy to answer questions and stuff. Like, truly, if you are super interested in this, let us know. I'm happy to guide you in any direction that I can, because we love this stuff. So
yeah, and just, you know, next time you're swiping on social media, or not social media, on, you know, whatever those app things are, you know, just remember and realize, like, am I asking yourself, like, are you doing this with like a good intention? Because hookup culture is really causing a lot of trauma in this sexual energy exchange right now, because people are using each other. And when you're using each other for pleasure, you're playing a real dark game. You're pretty much, you're doing what you want, not what is right. So if you don't know what I mean by that, you can go back a couple podcasts ago. We did a whole thing on healthy dyslexia and pretty much understanding the power of discipline to seek freedom, do what is right before what you want. And also, you know, really truly cultivating a relationship and a friendship, before you enter just the bedroom to have fun.
Yeah, and I would just say, just to sum all this up, is loving your body. You're not going to let somebody enter it that doesn't also love it to the same extent. So when you really discover self-love, your standards for who you're sleeping with are going to be like way up here. You know, we were taught like way down here, especially as women, in today's world. So really cultivating self-love and not like having a really high entry fee of like, do you love me? Will you honor my body? Will you respect my soul and honor my soul and have the best interest of my soul? It is really that serious to me. So this like polyamorous culture, these orgies are things that are going on in the spiritual communities. I would just be wary of them. You know, I don't have judgment. I just have like, not the path that I personally follow from what I have experienced. I think that is dark. So that is light, or that is darkness disguised as light. And there's a lot of it in today's world. So just to sum up my side of things.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, if there's any topics you want us to elaborate on, like, share, follow. And of course, as always, if you have a topic that you want us to explore deeper, if there's something we haven't mentioned, you can send us a message on Instagram, social media, comment. But for now, bye.